Welcome to the Wealth and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Diego J. Torrelio. On this podcast, we talk a lot about legacy building, wealth, and wellness. Everything from financial literacy to investing and fitness. It's a really well-rounded show, and we talk about all kinds of stuff that promotes personal development and healing. I like to bring on guests who are actively promoting this in their lives, bringing it into their family dynamics. And I'm really excited to have my dear friend, Steven Molof here, who has been a dear friend for over a decade, comrade, confidant. We've been working together for a really long time, and I'm just really delighted that you took the time to come out and speak with me.
I'm so glad to be on your show, man. It's so cool to see what you're doing and to see the growth you've put in and your commitment to everything you're doing to build your wealth and wellness within your life. And after over a decade of knowing you and working with you, with customers, building businesses, building families, we've had thousands of conversations in person and on the phone, and almost every single one of them were like, damn, that could have been a podcast. Like, we should have recorded that, right?
I know.
Like, we talk about literally building a business, entrepreneurship from scratch, fighting dragons every day, slaying these things, facing the challenges that the economy brings, that customers bring, that just the marketplace brings. It's an uphill battle building your own business. But when you have somebody like you to do it with, as a dear friend, as a compatriot, as a comrade, like you said, as a battle buddy, and we learn from each other, which is neat.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing for marketing, and where'd you source that material? And building and owning True North Kitchen and Bath has been quite an evolution. Building that with Jonathan Moore, business partner here, and my wife. She's really the boss.
Management.
Yeah. My title is president, but it's like associate vice president in reality.
Chief of staff.
John calls her the long-haired general.
Oh, that's great.
How that relates to wellness, right, is some active steps that I'm taking and John's taking every single day. It's like your morning vitamin C, and that vitamin is culture, right? We have to take it every morning. That helps promote a work-life balance that's easier to manage when work is built upon a foundation that celebrates success, celebrates each other, helps each other. Very open communication. All our doors are open. Our phones are available to help. You know, one of the first things we say when we bring on new employees is use your resources. You're never alone, because in the in-home sales and design construction world, we're spread out.
Yeah.
You know, we're spread out. So there could be some loneliness there, some isolation there, where you feel like you might be working in a silo because we don't come into an office 9 to 5 and have that kind of experience. So how do we make people feel connected? Feel like they are supported, like they do have a team and that they're on a team and they play a vital role on that team. And so that's the morning vitamin C. So we built that culture, and it starts by that part of it, establishing what you want your culture to be.
Yeah.
So that way you can recruit to it, right? So when you're looking for folks, when you're interviewing, you're actually judging them, based upon how well you think, I think, or John thinks, or any of our executive team now, what they feel that person would do within our culture, how they would incorporate into it. And so we find the right people based upon establishing the proper culture first.
Yeah.
And that helps, that helps in the home when we work all day and sometimes all night. When my wife, and her and I both are building this thing, it makes it so that our marriage is actually stronger than it's ever been every day. It continues to be that way, because our work culture is very similar to our home culture, our family culture. I always tell my son every morning, what are 2 things you can control? And he goes, attitude and effort. And so he knows this. It's built into him. It's bred into him, because the world throws so much at you.
It's true. The whole world is chaos. And to have like a very grounded home is, I think, instrumental in success and longevity, more importantly. Because as you said, a lot of people, I think this was a previous conversation that we had, a lot of people will tap out they won't be able to get to the finish line because it's too hard. They don't have the discipline or the consistency to endure the hardships, the trials and the tribulations, to take a step back and to go slow, especially in the home. Take your time with family and your wife, and having independent time with your wife, independent time with your son, and then collectively as a core is so important to me. I do that quite a bit, and I'm really curious to know what are some examples that you do in your day to day with your home, family, and business life. How do you weave them together to promote the wellness and to promote that like mindset of building wealth with your son in particular?
That's a great question. And my first response will be, we're still figuring all that out, right? Like, we're normal humans that put our shoes on the same way and get up.
I'm sure you figured out some things that work. Like, what are some things that are working?
For me and my family, small things, right? Like, we have a calendar in the kitchen. And it's a motivational quote calendar kind of thing with cool inspirational images. And we have another decoration that hangs over one of the doors. It just says, "Be awesome today." That's what it says. I've got the Ted Lasso "Believe."
I love it.
Thing. It's in my bedroom. Every time I walk under those things. And so I surround myself with positive energy and vibes, because sometimes I need those reminders.
Yeah.
I accidentally walk by these things. I'm like, okay. Restart, refresh. Affirmations are a big thing for me. My son's starting to learn them too. So every day he gets out of the car and I walk him into school. I give him a hug, give him a kiss, and I say, "Big and human." Right? So I'm trying to bring back the humanity, because, well, in California and in the world, everybody likes to point fingers. There's a feeling of entitlement. There's fear, there's shame, there's taboo, there's all these things in the world that you try to navigate to keep everybody happy. But at the end of the day, I think it's important that we speak human to each other, right? And God, there was a movie. It was a Christmas movie we were watching around Christmas time. It had The Rock in it, and the Allstate insurance guy as Santa Claus. And, And The Rock this is kind of a neat little piece that stuck with me. He was the security for the North Pole, and he was retiring in this movie. If you've seen the movie, then you know. And Santa Claus, he reminded him, he's like, "You've had a hard time seeing it." And The Rock's like, "What?" "You had a time seeing the child in every adult." And he's like, "Yeah, I just, I had a moment there.
Yeah.
And now I see it again." And so I'm trying to remind myself to see the kid in everybody. That helps me humanize people.
I love that.
So I don't build or mistakenly build resentments toward people or become jaded in life.
That is actually a really interesting topic. I saw a podcast with Lewis Howes, and he interviewed, I can't remember who this woman was in her profession, but she was like a psychotherapist / wellness, like healer extraordinaire. And she healed a lot of her trauma by talking to her inner child, by building a relationship with her inner child. Because she grew up in and out of alcoholism and drug abuse and domestic violence, and to like pick yourself up out of that environment and then persevere and grow and become a really like trying to become your best 10.0 self is really, really difficult. I love having those little conversations with your inner child, because that can uproot or bring to the surface a lot of trauma that, we've had as children that, otherwise would have been suppressed.
Massive.
So
Massive piece.
I do that too, quite a bit. And I encourage everybody to have that playful conversation with your inner child, so that you're honest with yourself. Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people have a lot of trouble with, I think, is like, being gentle with yourself, being honest with yourself. Like, it's okay if you make a mistake. It's okay if you don't get to where you want to go that first or second try.
Yep. That's something we teach with Liam, and this is a big piece for me too, because as I coach my son and coach my business and the employees, you either win or you learn.
Yes.
Right? There's no losing.
Yes.
So if you failed at something, it's only a failure if you refuse to learn from it. Right? And so I don't allow refusing to learn from failure. So we're always winning or learning.
Well, you grew up in the Silver State of Nevada.
Hell yeah, baby. Battle-born.
And you're battle-born. You come from the casino, right? Like, could you tell me?
Sure.
Like, I'd love to hear the kind of like your upbringing and, where you grew up and how'd you get to the Shire in San Mateo in the San Francisco Bay Area? I mean, it's kind of it's a big stretch.
It's a big stretch. My parents, they worked in the casinos, at Boomtown and Fitzgerald's and all these different places. And I was born in Reno, lived there, born and raised till I was 18. Played baseball my whole life. That was the thing for me. My coaches, Coach Sass and Coach Savage, Coach Bouch, all the guys, they raised me as much as anybody in that team environment. And I was wired a certain way to where I not being mediocre wasn't an option. And that they set that standard, they set that culture. And that helped to ingrain it in me and sort of tattooed on my brain. So baseball is what got me a scholarship to play in college at the University of San Francisco, which is cool. So lived in the city. After 18, I moved, and I've been here ever since. Just turned 40.
Amazing.
So we're
welcome to the club, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I met my wife, Jess, in college. And so she was a graphic design major. I was a business major. We had a lot of fun stories. And we ended up getting jobs and staying here. I ended up working in market research. I thought that's what I wanted to do, go into advertising and that kind of thing. But, top floor, BlackBerry, financial district, fly around the world. Yeah. Offices in London and Tokyo. And it sounded all glamorous when you're 22.
Sure.
Like there's a future in this. I could grow in this because it's a big industry. But I couldn't drive a desk. I couldn't sit in front of a desk.
Yeah.
Like at all.
So as an athlete growing up, were there any like entrepreneurial tendencies that began to emerge while you were playing baseball? Because you've built quite a business, and somebody just doesn't get up out of bed and go and build an 8-figure business, in a matter of a short amount of time. So you went from playing baseball, it sounded like you had a nice community in Reno. And then you move out to California into the Bay Area, and then you start getting into these arenas or these rooms with probably fiduciaries, like people who are, building portfolios for their clients. Like how did you transition into the trades and construction and build this big business of yours?
Well, you just talked about 50 different things there. When I was a sophomore in high school playing baseball, I broke my back. I broke a vertebrae, and I didn't know it because it just hurt really bad. I was pitching. I was a pitcher, played first base, and that set me back. Like, no pun intended there, but like it set me back several months, and I had to make a choice at that moment. Do I stop playing, or do I battle this and get better and come back? We were a nationally ranked baseball team, so it was an honor to be a part of them. My senior year, we were 7th in the nation. And when that moment happened, when my back was broken, I chose to face everything and rise, right? And do the rehab, do the work, do the extra running. At that point, I was behind, so I had to do more to catch up, right? I had to put the pedal down harder on that commitment to being the best. Ended up becoming team captain on that nationally ranked team. And that's what drove me to... Well, that's when it all started, I think,
it's a big challenge.
In high school was when I kind of forged what my character would be after a broken back.
It must have been scary.
It was scary. That's all I had known was baseball and whatnot. And I noticed, too, that the team captains and the leaders of the team had the best relationship with the coaches. And our coaches were hard. They were very discipline-oriented. It was an old-school way of doing it. I'm not sure you could do it like that anymore, but it either made you or broke you, and it made me.
So that sounds like it was probably the foundation then, kind of like the laying the groundwork to becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I like leading. It just came down to it. I enjoy, like you, establishing culture and then maintaining it, inspecting it, building it further. And so that started as on a team. I like leading teams, you know.
What were some of the first teams that you led coming out of college and going into the entrepreneurial world?
Well, that happened after a few years of being one of the top sales guys. That was when I left market research. My roommate, John, who's now my business partner.
That's cool.
Back in, 2008-ish, we were roommates. Hopefully we'll get John on this podcast.
Most definitely.
In the future. He was having fun, man. I saw the wellness in his life was very different than the wellness of mine. I was driving a desk in a culture that didn't exist. It was just a workaholic culture with cubicles open everywhere. And everybody looked for an excuse to take a coffee break just to get out.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'd end up drinking like 8 cups of coffee a day just to
oh gosh.
You know what I mean? I don't do caffeine anymore because of that.
Yeah.
I haven't had caffeine in 15 years.
Wow.
Because of that culture. And so John was coming home he was a roommate, right? So I got to see his morning. I got to see his evening. He would leave the house with a smile. He'd come home with a smile. Made a bunch of money, driving around. His office was changing every day. And that was more for me. I was like, that looks awesome.
Inspiring.
It was inspiring. I was like, yes. John, how do I get a job where you're working? Because that looks like fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it opened up a door for me. And I'm trying to translate down to my son and to my sales team is the more fun you have, the more curious you are, directly correlate to how much money you can make. And so I'm trying to ingrain that in Liam and on our sales team is be fun, be curious. You know, ask the questions, you know, find the child in everybody and ask them more questions to hear their story. The more you ask for someone else's story, the better chance you have of connecting, succeeding, winning, and building wealth. Yeah. Because it's very human driven, our business, you know, in-home remodeling, residential remodeling, you're dealing with people's lives. You know, next to family, that's their biggest asset. And we have to build that trust to do a very scary thing. Yeah. Which is tear the house apart.
It's so disturbing. And it's such a big kind of transition, it sounds like, for you when you went from driving the desk and then when were the hammers getting swung? So you met John, he was inspiring you. Yeah. What was John, like, what was his job? What was he doing? What were you guys? Yeah. How did that? I mean, there seems to be a little gap there, and I want to try and fill that gap.
We're getting there. Yeah. He was in sales, right? So that was where he started. I mean, when I first met him, he was a bartender, and then he got a job as sales because he's very good at connecting with people and having fun. You know, he's got that English humor that's just, it's unfair. I hate him for it. And so I like to do that too. And then he became a sales manager. I joined his sales team, so he was actually my boss.
What was he selling?
Pavers. So we did outdoor living spaces.
Got it.
Driveways, walkways, patios.
Yeah. So decks. Outdoor renovation, outdoor remodeling projects.
Yep. And that's when my life changed when I joined that team.
Oh, cool.
So I led the sales team for 3 years. And then I thought to myself, I could do this on my own. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to control this. I'd like to build something of my own. So I'm not just receiving paychecks. I'm overseeing the creation of my own in many different ways, and I can scale this to benefit a family I want to build. And so,
when you made that decision, how did you feel?
Scared.
Yeah. Were you like, just, oh my God, how am I gonna do this?
Terrified. Yeah, because I decided that I didn't have the foresight then, but it was at the end of summer that we created it, and so. We opened up our own branch office for modern paving. And our first winter came. And in home sales and construction, remodeling, especially outdoor work, wintertime, it slows down, right? The business slows down. The phone calls aren't as often, aren't as many. And so it was me and a buddy, David, who both came from System Pavers.
So John stayed at System, and then you decided to, there's something more for me.
Yeah. John stayed there. He did really well there, and we're still connected with them. They're really close friends and colleagues.
Cool.
The management team at System Pavers they've been really good people to us, supported us.
That's awesome.
But when I left, I created a competing business, right?
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So like, we're friends, but I'm going after you in the market.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was like, you guys do pavers. It's great. You've been good. Catch you later. I'm going to go do pavers my way.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to bring the humanity back into, what is a transactional thing.
Sure.
I pay you, you give me.
Yeah.
And so
That's really cool. I think that's a really cool part of why I like you so much, is because there's this like underlying like moral or ethic, that you don't compromise. And that, I think that's why we've connected so much over the years. Like you hold yourself to a standard and you don't compromise on that standard. And that's where, to me, I see a lot of like the wealth building and the wellness, and then how you report that to your community and your collaborators and your people. Just like, I just absolutely love that about you.
I appreciate that, man. And that's why we've connected, because we're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
Same church, same pew, me trying to build things that matter to people, that have an impact. If I'm going to work with a customer, I want it to be impactful in their life. And if an employee or team member wants to work for my business, I want it to be impactful for them too.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where the culture comes into play. So they're not just, counting the hours till Friday they get to clock out. And Monday comes around, it's like, okay, cool. I like what I do. I get to work with cool people. We have an impact. And
so you have this standard, you've been driving this standard, leave the marketing world, you leave the paver world, start your own paver world, still continuing with this mission and this ethic and this sentiment of wellness. So what happened next with Modern Paving? Because you're no longer with Modern Paving. Now you've started this other business, True North Kitchen and Bath, which is inside. You're doing work indoors now. So there's a bridge there that we can cross that I'd love to.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the Modern Paving thing was great. The ownership there was great. Working with David was great. But I wanted to go bigger. I wanted to dream bigger. And I always had that feeling for the 5 years that I ran Modern Paving. That's where we met. You were doing an outdoor job and you brought our team in. By the luck of the stars somehow. But then John calls me, Jonathan Moore. He has since moved on from System Pavers. He stayed a few years after I had left, but he moved back east to be with his family, his wife and kids. His wife's family was on the East Coast. And so we stayed in touch throughout the years. We always did, because we were friends, we were roommates, and all these things. We had a history. Yeah. He calls me one day, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to start a business?" I'm like, "What? Aren't you like you're in New Hampshire?" He was in New Hampshire.
Just a call out of like nowhere, just came in and was
just
hey.
Out of nowhere, and he'd been running a Bath Planet business, an indoor bathroom remodeling business.
Oh, cool.
For several years, they were a dealer. And there's a nationwide network of these Bath Planet dealers, and there happened to be an opportunity in the Bay Area. So he calls me and he says, there's an opportunity to become a Bath Planet dealer, because these are exclusive territories to become a dealer for these products, and it's a bath product for showers and tubs. And I'm like, yes.
Like no hesitation. You knew.
Yes.
Amazing.
Because John, he's an inspirational dude. You know what I mean? And he's fearless. Yeah. And in a lot of ways. And we balance each other out quite a bit, which is cool, because he charges ahead. And sometimes I'm like, hang on a second. Yeah. Let's have a moment. Just put like 10 seconds of thought into it. Yeah. And he's like, no, let's go. And I'm like, just 2 seconds. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, let's go. Cool. So there's good balance there. So when he calls and he says, let's do a business, like, hell to the yeah. Wow. Jess, we're doing a business. Wow. So that was really cool. And it started small. NorCal Remodeling Group. We kind of intentionally gave ourselves a name that could do anything, because we weren't sure. There was 3 of us, John, Jess, and myself. And we're like, oh my God, what are we doing? Wow. So you were then able to really craft up and design and completely build what you've always wanted. Yep. That's amazing. We started with the dealership of Bath Planet. They have some resources for you, which is nice. Mm-hmm. They generate business on their own, and they help make the phones ring with their nationwide footprint and marketing spend. So that helps. So the moment you become a dealer, you have some lead flow, a little bit at least. Yeah. Which is helpful. You start a business, you want the phone to ring. Absolutely. So leads are everything. Leads are everything. Yeah. Leads are everything. If you're trying to get a business off the ground. Yeah. You need customers. Wow. So marketing, Modern Paving, System Pavers, NorCal Remodeling Group, True North Kitchen and Bath.
Tell us about today. Like what's the day-to-day look like? And
well, we've learned a ton.
This idea of wellness and building wealth, like you're doing it.
Scaling a business, it just reiterates and hammers home the importance of culture and hammers home the importance of those affirmations and to be curious and have fun and to see the child in everybody. These are all the little tools that I use every day. These mini meditations. Every time I see a stop sign and when I'm driving around, I take that moment and I stop and say, thank you to the universe. I see stop signs as reminders for me to stop for just a moment and reset. And so I've used some of these little tools because building a business, scaling it is hard, scary, expensive. There's two main types of stresses as a business owner that I feel and face. Client stress, employee stress. If you've ever owned a business and had more than one employee, you know.
Absolutely.
Because you're trying to keep everybody happy and you can't.
I saw an interview with the NVIDIA CEO talking about, he was asked a question. He's like, the interviewer simply said, you built this amazing business. It's like one of the largest assets in the world.
Crazy massive.
Like, would you do it again? And he goes, no, I would never do it again. And I would never, ever wish this upon anybody because of how hard it is. The challenge of getting up every morning, even though it's a passion and it's a labor of love, you're still going through your challenges. You're still going through these trials. What do you do actively on a day-to-day basis outside of just affirmations that really promote your consistency and your discipline to be there for your team and to be there, more importantly, for your partner, John, who's, right there by your side?
Big thing is fitness and diet. I've had, like you mentioned earlier, there's roller coasters in life, and I've had a few roller coasters where I've gotten really fit and then I got really fat. and then I'm on that wellness train hardcore since I turned 40.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Right? I mean, I just turned 40, so it's like, okay, this is a moment. I got really sick on my birthday, actually. And I came out of that going, never, ever will I ever be unfit or unwell again if it's something I can control, right? So attitude and effort determine where you're going, what direction you're taking. And things like fitness and diet, those are all choices. You can choose those. You can control those. Thankfully, I'm in a position where I can control that. I can afford to choose what food I want. Not everybody can, and so that's another gratitude piece. Thankfully, I have the ability to carve out time to jump on the bike or lift some weights. Not everybody can do that at their own convenience. So very grateful for those things. And so since it's been, what is today? About a month I've been 40. I've ridden now hundreds of miles on my bike, and we've completely changed out our pots and pans at home to get, chemical-free, forever chemical-free stuff. We've made decisions to stay as clean and organic as we can. At every turn, every choice, because those are choices.
Yeah. And they're votes too.
They're votes.
You're promoting an economy that is regenerative or organic too.
Yep. Like we only buy the pasture-raised organic eggs now. They taste amazing.
Yes.
I never knew how good an egg could be until I tried them. Like, there's better eggs out? Like what? Yeah. It's real. That's really good. If you can, try the pasture-raised organic eggs.
Do you know who Dan Barber is? He's a chef out of New York.
I don't.
He's really well known for Michelin star restaurants, but more importantly, the farm to table stuff.
Cool.
He's been actively hybridizing various varieties of vegetables and fruits that really promote the flavor profile. Cool. And then showcasing them in these like really beautiful displays, on the plate that are seasonal, organic. Like it's all about, the health of the soil. I think there absolutely is a correlation between flavor and cultivation of that flavor. The nuances of the soil and the biology and the nutrient and how they're exchanged with the plants and the roots and and that biology. I'm just so delighted that you're on that, you're on that train to.
Yeah, man. Change is a choice.
Change can be hard too.
Change is hard, but it's a choice you can make. And we're just trying to focus on the day to day with a bigger picture in mind, knowing that, to carve out a different or a healthier body, it takes a lot of chisels. So that's a visual I've been doing when I'm in the gym or when I'm on my bike. I feel like I need to take at least a daily chisel on this block of marble that is me. It's this visual I have for myself. And I'm like, okay, after an hour-long bike ride or whatever it might be, that was one chisel stroke.
Amazing.
And so I have a lot more to do. And it's a daily thing that never ends.
Yeah.
It's a life thing that never ends. Excuse me, that's the fitness stuff. The food stuff, you are what you eat, man. It's like what you consume, that's what you become.
True. So true.
And that's what I have to tell my parents. If they ever see this, they're going to know. Consuming media. My parents are addicted to
entertainment and
CNN, all the things of politics and everything that's on there. The ticker tape of stress. I call it stress TV.
Yeah.
And if you're consuming that all the time, it's just like eating terrible food all the time.
You're consuming it.
It's going to harm you in some way, shape, or form if that's all you do. Yeah. So we don't watch the news in our house. It's actually forbidden. We don't. When my parents come over, if my mom's got it on, Mom, you're not allowed to do that.
They're not allowed.
You're not allowed.
Your house, your rules, I guess.
You're not allowed. Right? You're not allowed to put CNN on because we got these big screens, right? It's this massive screen. Stress. Stress. Yeah. That's all. It's a stress TV. Whenever the news is on, they don't make their money by telling you about the good news in the world. So we have GNN. So I try to read from them. Good News Network. It's awesome.
Cool.
They celebrate the successes and the innovations of the things that
inspiring
are doing good
stories.
For the world.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, check out GNN.
GNN.
It's an app and a website.
Awesome.
So that's a big wellness part because I used to be into that too. So our household, right, is we're trying to consume things that improve yourself and the planet. We're trying to chisel new futures for ourselves physically, and we're consuming the right information in our head constantly. I got enough things that I have to deal with. I don't need to have the stress of whatever today's political moment was. I can read about it. That's fine. I'm just not going to have it on audio, visual on a big screen.
Well, you mentioned big picture. And I'd love to know if you're willing to share what that big picture is. Now you've gone on this massive journey. It sounds like you're turning the next chapter in your book. What's next? Like what's this vision? Where's this vision going to take you?
That's a good question. It's all tied together. One, I'm motivated by never letting my son be able to kick my ass. He's 8. So I got to stay ahead of him. Like for as long as I can. The longevity there, I got to stay fast.
You probably got another 7 years.
I know.
I think you're good.
We played soccer yesterday. We have this awesome community. There was dads versus kids. We played every weekend, and I am sore. We played for about 45 minutes yesterday until one of the kids had to go. It's amazing how difficult soccer is.
Yeah.
The starts, the stops, and this, that, and the other. So those things motivate me. So that's why I woke up today. I'm like, oh, I hurt so bad, but I have to get on the bike later because I want to get better at this. I don't want to be that sore all the time after I play soccer with my kid.
Yeah.
So that's a little motivating piece. So big picture thing there is to be inspirational for my son. I want, monkey see, monkey do. I want him to see those efforts and actions and attitudes I'm taking toward this wellness, choosing what to consume, choosing what activities to take. And that inspires him. So he'll live a lifelong journey of consuming the right things and doing the right things.
Yeah, don't do what I say, do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to show you. And so we have a regimen for him, a wellness regimen for him. He stopped doing jujitsu on Mondays and Wednesdays, so he does Peloton now.
Oh, cool.
Because he sees mom and dad doing it.
And he wants to get in.
So he does 30 minutes of Peloton every Monday
awesome.
and Wednesday.
Wow.
And he can do whatever he wants because they have weights and yoga and meditation and obviously the biking.
Yeah.
Just that's on his to-do list if he's allowed to have any free time on the iPad over the weekends is you got to do your Pelotons.
Cool.
And he's awesome. He loves it. The music's fun. It's great. The business, we want to take this to, a 9-figure business. We're an 8-figure business now. 9 figures is where we're headed. to have a bigger impact and to be able to establish the kind of financial freedom that we're all after, but what we're certainly after. So we can take some of those monies and do good in the world, right? That's my biggest picture item here is the wealth that's generated from my business is going to be given back. Like, as long as I have enough for myself and my family, the rest is like, I want to be a micro shark, if you will, a micro venture capitalist to find companies and causes that do good. Right. And like kids causes, cancer causes, and animal causes are nearest and dearest to me. Awesome. I love animals. I love kids. There's a lot of animals and kids that need help in this world.
Yeah.
And obviously, cancer is a big deal. I lost my sister to it a couple years ago. All the kinds. You ask, what kind did you have? All of them. It's close to John as well, my business partner. Close to almost everybody who might be listening.
Yeah.
You know, somebody knows somebody that's been affected by it. And so that's the biggest picture, is to crush it in life so that way I can help in life. That's what drives me, is that
awesome
light at the end of the tunnel is like coming to a budding business like yours in 10 years from now. Not yours, but one like yours.
Sure.
They might need...
I'll take your money.
Well, I'll invest, man. Let's do it. But somebody might need 10 grand or 50 grand to get the building or hire that one employee or get the car, get the tool or get the equipment or get that advertising to get that phone to ring so you can, you know, pour a little gas on that tiny little fire and help something good get off the ground.
Yeah. I love that. I'm actively working on doing that through my businesses. And one of the big problems I want to address is affordable housing. And, you know, the development of health and wellness in the built environment that promotes affordable housing. I think it's challenging to kind of find the two in the same asset. Like it's either affordable or it's a rundown piece of crap. Or it's a rundown piece of crap and you can fix it, but then it's not affordable.
Yeah.
That's like a really big challenge that I'm working on right now. And I think with creative finance and, you know, building a business that's specifically representing those who are misfortuned, you know, either in pre-foreclosure or they're, you know, having a hard time or an issue with their finances, to come in and help save the day, but then, you know, work on the elements or in the amenities of the home or the building. Very, very, very passionate about that.
Well, you're in such a unique position. This is what I love about your business and why we're actually in a joint venture on a property, and hopefully many, many more. You're a general contractor with a real estate profession, licensed, all the things. And I think we've had this conversation before, but next to family, your house is your biggest asset, your home.
Yeah.
And
the home and the hearth.
The home and the hearth, right? And you have the skills and you're doing it to help people attain these things. Because, you know, a $200,000 home 40 years ago or a $50,000 home, I forget what the inflation calculation is, but it's ridiculous. It's impossible for millennials, or close to it. It's very challenging, at least in California, and I know a lot of other places too. You know, a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house is now $2.8 million and it needs renovations. And if you're 35 years old and you've been working for 12, 13 years in a good job and you're making 150 grand a year, you still can't afford that.
Yeah.
You know, like you're making 6-figure salary for 10 years, you still can't afford, or it's very difficult to afford a $3 million house that's not even that special.
I know.
Because you got to put down $1 million and then you've got a $12,000 a month mortgage. That's not easy, but through your creative approach, man, like tell us a little more about that.
Well, I think, it started a long time ago, when I was working at a health food shop, and it was a block away. So I walked to work every day, and I, you know, started one of my businesses early on in like a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, and just felt as like I grew into that project. My environment, my immediate environment was so important for me to stay grounded, to stay focused, to stay driven. I just felt like when I came home, it was where I can, recover, rejuvenate. At the health food store, naturally everybody came in with problems like ailments and whether they're physical or mental. So I had to, it was just a wonderful place to learn how to talk to people and to help people with their troubles.
Speak human.
It was a big deal because there were some really challenging people that came in through that door. But the owners were absolutely driven to help everybody that walked in that door, no matter how challenging they were.
So you like the culture there?
The culture there was unbelievable. Even though people were stealing and taking advantage of the space, granted, like you had your bad apples, but even with those individuals, like the ethics and the morals, they stayed the same. Like we're helping everybody. Everybody needs this.
That was a true north
kind of moment. And that was my true north moment. So the home then began to progress and evolve. And then I moved out of there and then I moved into another place. But every single place that I moved into, I knew that I wanted to take responsibility. I knew I wanted to leave it better than I had inherited it. And I knew that there was more. Like there was more for me there. Like I had this vision of having a home on a hill right in between, the wildlands and, the urban environment. And I knew that I was going to be moving from both sides of that spectrum, almost as like a yin and yang to like help nature and people.
That's awesome.
It was such a beautiful vision. And I feel like I finally found that.
You've got a house on a hill.
And I got a house on the hill, right on the edge of the wildlands and the urban environment. So I'm driven to help people. And my vision, is to, show folks how to become their best selves through entrepreneurship, through being human. Like there's so many trials. There's so much stuff that we get thrown at. So much stuff gets thrown at us all the time. And it's overwhelming. It's really hard for us to
being an entrepreneur. That what you're going through is what I'm going through is it's just problem solving. Like what you do, helping clients either buy or sell something or locate something that's attainable. You're problem solving. Whether it's remodeling or landscaping, you're solving problems, and you have to solve the physical problems of the world, and you got to solve a lot of mental problems, or at least find a way to work with the people, because you got the place and you got the person, and you're connecting them both to upgrade that, which is so cool.
It's really interesting how I got into it, because I think it all like stemmed from wanting to be connected to family and the home. Like I was fortunate growing up. My parents, they took care of the house. We had to clean on Sundays for the cleaners, like we were the ones who were actively in the space doing stuff to make it ours. And that connection, I think, started really young, and I just enjoy thoroughly helping people reconnect with their space and place, especially when they're discontent and they just don't know who to go to or how to go about getting what they want ultimately. And that's, a deep underlying connection to themselves and to their environment. So I'm a big promoter of health and wellness within the built environment and generating an impact.
Well, you've gone through so many ups and downs and twists and turns with Circle Foot 10 years ago to where Circle Foot is today, right? You've had big teams of employees. You do the design, you do the build, you do everything in between. But now you've grown in the real estate. You've got multiple businesses now. What's gotten you through some of those downturns when you're like, because I remember there was a time, and I've had it with my life many times with our business, like, I'm
ready to throw the towel in. Yeah.
Something has to change. This sucks. It's hard. Everybody thinks because you're a business owner that you're healthy and wealthy and you've got all the money and free time in the world. And like you own the business. Don't tell me about your problems. Like we're humans. We have those same challenges, those mental challenges. When you're like, fuck, this is hard. You know?
Yeah.
What got you through those moments?
I'd say over the years, the connection I have with myself and knowing when to stop, when to say no, and then when to take action. So I've over my life have developed a really, really good relationship with myself to the point where no matter what gets thrown at me, I know where to find my center. I know what tools to pull out of the toolkit because I've developed those tools over a really long time. So what helps me get through stuff is this little magical orb of progressive utility that I've developed over the course of my life. So I just know where to go.
You've built a toolbox.
I just know what to do.
A mental toolbox of phrases that get you through things or actions that get you through things.
Meditation, mindfulness, being of service, giving, exercise, fitness, clean living, no alcohol, no drugs. It's allowed me to stay super clear and super focused. So I know, what to do. And if I don't, let's say something happens, I'm just like completely clueless. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Or I raise my hand. I'm one, like you mentioned this earlier on. It's like, you have to be curious. You have to ask questions and you have to, push against the norm.
There's headwinds everywhere.
And I think that headwind builds the character.
Amen to that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Amen to that. Because you're really good at this. You've taught me some things where, like food is medicine. When you said that to me many, many years ago, I was like, what? And movement is medicine. And I've taken those things to heart recently. And you talked about the health food store and Grow San Mateo, which is something that's really cool. A group of urban, productive farmers, people that have a house and a little garden that produces edible food that are good for you, like fruits and veggies. They use those to donate to people that need them. And there's a Whole Foods, I guess. Tell me about it. There's a doctor guy that prescribes people that can't afford healthy foods. Like they have a sore back, you need a tomato or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like food as medicine.
Yeah, it's amazing. I actually saw a story about an individual who was battling cancer and decided to not go through the chemo treatment, but instead decided to just go to the food. And stage 4 terminal cancer, completely cleaned it using just fasting regimes and whole food and juicing and, really
natural whole foods,
just the total natural way. Our audience is always tuned into new techniques and new ways of incorporating this wealth and wellness within their lives. What do you have to say to them? Like, as we wrap up the show, do you have something that you would suggest, promote, based on your experience and what you've gone through in your life?
I would say it's okay to not be okay. Right? I had to learn that. Like, it's okay if you're struggling physically, mentally, financially. You're human. We're human. And it's okay to, like you said, raise your hand. There's no...
Ask for help.
Yeah. If you want something or need something, you can reach out. It's okay to not be okay. And once I realized that and said that to myself, somehow a lot of fears and pains and challenges, the stresses, they drop. Because you're instead of fighting it, you can accept it. Because that's the only way for me. I've learned that. I accept a lot of things so that way it makes them dissipate.
Yeah.
If there's this fear demon that's coming at you, giving you anxiety, it wants you to have that response, right? But fear is a liar. Accept it. The sounds go away, and you can proceed at that point.
Oh, that's great, man.
So that was a big one for me. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming. It's always a good conversation with you, Steve.
We can do these 50 more times.
Yeah.
100,000 more times.
Yeah. If you guys resonate with everything on this show, please hit the like button. We'll come back with another episode. This is episode 2 of the Wealth and Wellness Report. Thank you.
See you guys.